How many characters can you truly say broke anime? Not just iconic, not just powerful, I'm talking about characters so unforgettable that they rewrote the rules of the genre. You could probably count them on one hand, and today, I'm going to show you the one who did it best. The man who shattered expectations, who hijacked the story of Bleach itself. This is how Sosuke Aizen broke anime, and why we still haven't recovered. Of the 42 characters I've covered on my channel so far, I honestly believe that after research, this is the most interesting character I've come across and the most fun I've had making a video. This dude is so insane that he stops the main character's theme song with a finger. When you talk about a character breaking anime, I can't think of a single feat more deserving. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. There are no less than 4 more ways he's done so, and it's about time we get into what makes him so special. Something that sets Aizen apart from many villains is we don't know much about his past. But here's the thing, we don't need to. He isn't shaped by tragedy, he's driven by philosophy. He looks at the world, rejects it, and chooses to rebel. You don't need a tragic backstory for that, you need conviction. With that said, his past still reveals important information. From an early age, he knew he was immensely powerful, and he struggled to relate to others because no one was on his level. This led to tremendous loneliness, but that isolation didn't destroy him, it refined him. It gave him a worldview most couldn't understand. There's another way of looking at it. The world as it wasn't enough for him, so he wanted to reach higher. He wanted to do what no one before him, not even gods, had done: stand atop the heavens. This ideology isn't made up. It's actually rooted in real-life philosophy that comes by way of a man named Friedrich Nietzsche. I probably butchered that. In short, Nietzsche believed that how we view morality has been corrupted. Once upon a time, those who were strong, fearless, and ambitious were seen as good. But over time, the weak, out of resentment, flipped the script, calling their own weakness virtue and labeled strength evil. So Nietzsche coined a new term, the Übermensch, someone who stands above modern morality, someone who rejects the current system and instead chooses to advance beyond it. That is greatness, and to achieve it, you have to struggle. To him, suffering isn't something to avoid, it's something to embrace. In fact, nothing encourages growth more than suffering. Compassion towards the gifted is nothing but weakness that halts progress. In Bleach, we can piece together his beliefs from his actions. When a girl named Hiyori was sliced in half by Aizen's comrade, her friend Shinji says they need to keep her alive until Ichigo, the main character, can arrive. Shinji trusts Ichigo will make everything okay. This prompts Aizen to say trust is akin to weakness. Aizen has had many followers, and he has never once told them to trust him. In fact, he specifically told them to do the opposite. Why? Because he doesn't believe in it. He is so strong that trust with another comes with a massive power imbalance. To trust someone, you have to make yourself vulnerable, and that's something he refuses completely. The strong should never be vulnerable to the weak. Trust is a mechanism the weak use to offload responsibility because they can't handle it themselves. So they pass that burden to someone above them. That leads to kings, which leads to gods, a notion he wholly rejects. Aizen is the Übermensch, and we have many examples of him embodying this either directly or indirectly, and it's always to cause suffering to those with great talent. He manipulates Hitsugaya into impaling Momo, his childhood friend. One of his creations kills Miyako Shiba, traumatizing her husband Cayenne, whose own death scars Rukia. His actions toward Rangiku are the reason Ginichimaru becomes a Shinigami in the first place. He orchestrates Rukia's near execution in front of her friend Renji. And all of this, it's not even his most brutal example, which we'll get to. But the message is clear: if you don't grow from suffering, you're not worth it. Honestly, the philosophical depth of his writing broke more than anime, it broke my brain. Much like Eren Yeager blew my mind as he showed the consequences of chasing absolute freedom, Aizen is the personification of unchecked ambition. The concept and its roots are compelling on their own, but the execution is on an entirely different level. His desire for greatness has led him to a specific goal. In his world, there are Shinigami, guardians of souls, and hollows, corrupted soul monsters. Aizen aims to transcend the boundaries between them, two opposing forces, and become something more. To do this, he works to create the Hogyoku, but creating it involves MK Ultra-like experimentation on unsuspecting victims. This philosophy goes against everything the Soul Society stands for. There, rules are rules. Follow them, accept them, and don't ask questions. But who made those rules? For what purpose? And more importantly, if those rules were made by the weak, why should the strong obey? Aizen questions everything and accepts nothing. Naturally, he despises this system, so he hides. He masks his true nature from everyone, plotting from the shadows and exploiting everyone in the process. And the genius of it all? The audience is tricked too. At first, the Soul Society appears cruel. Only one man is questioning things, Aizen. Most captains of the Gotei 13 come off as cold or sadistic, yet he's kind and polite. Like us watching, he's wary of Rukia's execution and asks, does the punishment fit the crime? He confronts Gin, the coldest captain we've seen, out in the open. And then before you know it, he's found crucified. You think there must be a conspiracy. He must have known something we didn't. He did, just not what you thought. And that's when he breaks anime again, delivering us the greatest twist villain in anime history in a way that changed how you can write villains. Not only is Aizen alive, he's been manipulating everyone. I said it with Gin, another video you should watch by the way. The deception here is brilliant. Rukia heading to the land of the living? That was Aizen. The execution he publicly questioned? He was behind it. Why? Because for once in his life, Aizen's progress had stalled. His Hogyoku didn't work. There was someone else working on something similar, a fellow genius, Kisuke Urahara, and so he used Rukia as a pawn to get a hold of it, then ordered her to be killed so he could retrieve it from her corpse. The way he did that was awesome too. He went to the judicial branch of the Soul Society and murdered all of them, then used his Zanpakuto Kyoka Suigetsu to impersonate them with its hypnosis ability. From there, he issued rulings that benefited his scheme with no one the wiser. Between Rukia's execution, Ichigo infiltrating the Soul Society, and Gin playing up his own guild per Aizen's orders, Sosuke was able to operate completely unnoticed. Not only was he behind what we were seeing in the Soul Society, he was even responsible for things we hadn't learned about yet, like why Urahara left being a captain. Before the series even began, Aizen realized his captain, Shinji, was wary of him, and he leaned into that, which allowed him to not only use Shinji as part of his experiments, but scapegoat both him and Urahara. But it doesn't end there. Hueco Mundo? Another elaborate scheme. He used Ichigo's love interest, Orihime, as bait, and when fellow Gotei 13 captains followed to face off against the monsters Aizen created, he trapped them there while he dipped out to pursue his actual goals. This didn't come out of nowhere either. When we first see him, he's portrayed in a positive light. Meanwhile, his appearance is literally covered in shadows. The symbolism couldn't be clearer. He's the only one questioning orders early on, which is in his nature to do. We just thought it was for different reasons. When he became a captain, Momo became part of his division, and she grew attached to him. Then things get dark. She's the one who discovers his hanging corpse. She's overcome by emotion and lashes out at the assumed culprit, Gin. When Aizen's revealed to be alive, she's so happy she can barely contain herself. His response? Impale her. It's not only the betrayal of someone who believed in him, there's more. He intentionally became a father figure to her and made her reliant on him so he could use and discard her. And yet, if you asked him about it, he'd call what he did mercy. He knew that because she'd become so dependent on him, she couldn't keep going without him. She didn't grow from her suffering, so he decided to kill her to spare her from future despair. He does the same with Tosen. Tosen was one of his most loyal followers up until Aizen killed him. He literally says this was an act of mercy, because had he not slain his comrade, he would have had to accept a reality that would only bring him misery. This is one of the more complex and dangerous parts of his character. Even though he saw himself above everyone else, he knew exactly how to relate to them. He understood what they needed and became it. For Momo, he was a father figure. For Grimmjow, he tolerated the arrogance. For Tosen, he was a god. His ability to be what others wanted him to be for them is one of the biggest reasons why he was so successful. He really is the perfect combination of strength and manipulation, so it's fitting that there is no better metaphor for that than his own weapon, Kyoka Suigetsu, a sword that gives him absolute control over your five senses, and all it takes to activate is seeing his blade once. There's no better example of how OP this is than when Shinigami attempt to attack him. Ichigo is watching them like, what the hell are you guys doing? And it turns out, they're all attacking Momo while Aizen is just there chilling. For me, it's such a fascinating concept to have a godlike being decide to battle with more psychological warfare than brute strength. Another detail I love is what Aizen does after creating the Arrancar, hybrid hollow Shinigami beings that work under him. The strongest of these, the Espada, were each chosen to represent a different aspect of death. Once the Hogyoku has been perfected and he absorbs it, he decides he no longer has any use for them. This is symbolic. He is beyond death, which with the Hogyoku, he literally is. There's even a poem tied to his character about this very idea, transcendence. Because of the Hogyoku, he achieves his goal. In doing so, this breaks something else, Bleach's entire power system. The hierarchy prior to this was largely based on spiritual pressure and the strength of your Zanpakuto. After, the rules change. He doesn't only gain strength, he gains plot immunity. He can't die now. Even if you take the Hogyoku away, it'll come back on its own. He's a cheat code. And that's not all it broke. It destroyed anime discourse. The Aizen vs. Madara debate is unlike anything else in the medium, and it's not even debatable. It's still ongoing, and we have yet to recover from it. Aizen has also transcended anime in a way that he's kind of become a meme. He is the poster child for 4D chess moves, or you did that because I planned it from the start. Hell, I don't even know if we can rule out me rating this video was because he wanted me to. That expectation comes from this. Aizen, Bleach's big bad, planned out Ichigo's future from the start. He was there when Ichigo's parents met. They were a unique pairing, a Shinigami and a Quincy, sworn rivals, the latter of which contained a hollow inside her, and they ended up conceiving, so of course, Aizen took interest in their child. He set up obstacles to test him and forced him to grow, exactly what we'd expect of someone with his mindset. However, I think there could be another reason. Aizen wanted someone on his level. The only person who could compare to him was Urahara, and Aizen hated him. Ichigo was his chance at a true kindred spirit, or a means to an end. The only other people who could present problems for him before Ichigo arrived were Head Captain Yamamoto with his strength and Urahara with his brilliance. He avoids the former and gets the latter exiled, and then has decades of free reign to continue his research. But Yamamoto will always present a problem, both literally and symbolically. So he creates a modified Arrancar specifically designed to deal with him. This plays a role in defeating Yamamoto, and the interaction is fascinating because unlike with Momo or Tosin, Aizen shows clear disdain here. Yamamoto Genryosai, to you, I will not say I will not kill you. You are the very history of the Soul Society itself, and as such, you alone will die by my sword. This man represents everything Aizen despises about the Soul Society. He is the old guard, the status quo itself, and it's why he cannot be spared. But the job isn't done. Yes, he's transcended, but remember the other thing he wanted? To stand atop the heavens. If he can create a portal by collecting enough souls, he will literally be able to step foot at the Palace of the Soul King, a godlike entity within the Bleach universe. If he gets there, his goal is complete. But would that be enough? At one point he says the only solitude he's ever known comes from his blade. That could mean a lot of things. Maybe he wants an equal. Maybe his only way to combat his loneliness is with strength. Maybe he secretly yearned to be average, to not feel the burden of being exceptional. So if he does reach that final destination, what then? Will he be satisfied, or will it become a stepping stone to something greater? I don't know. These ambitions are what set him apart from most villains. He's not reacting to the main character, it's the opposite. Ichigo is reacting to him. He's the only one capable of stopping Aizen, so inevitably they clash. But Aizen doesn't hate or resent him. He doesn't see Ichigo as anything other than potential. Honestly, you could say he's not even really fighting Ichigo. He's rejecting the Soul Society and those who partake in keeping the status quo intact while attempting to aim higher himself. This is made clear as he loses. It's the first time we see him show real anger, and where is his anger directed? You'd expect it to be towards Ichigo, the man who defeated him. But no, it's toward Urahara, who sealed him, though that's not the reason why. It's because Urahara like Aizen, is capable of changing the system, but chooses not to. Kisuke Urahara, I despise you. You possess such great intellect. Why do you not act? He asks how Urahara can sit back and allow the Soul King to rule above them. It's important to note this isn't specific to the Soul King. Remember, he rejects the idea of gods above him altogether. There might even be added disdain towards the fact that the Soul King was once great, and then allowed those weaker than him to mutilate him for their benefit. Probably the most disgusting thing you could do in Aizen's mind. And Urahara's response may be the most unacceptable one he could give. Kisuke knows the system is flawed, but he believes it's the best they've got. It directly conflicts with Aizen's view. Accepting something flawed out of convenience or apathy is something only losers do. To aspire to achieve something better is what victors do, and Aizen is a victor. Ironically, the prodigy who sees suffering as the best way to force others to evolve doesn't go through real suffering himself. Or maybe that's what his fight with Ichigo was. Though Gyoku acted on a desire to lose, maybe that was because he needed to suffer to truly ascend. Or maybe it was all cope from the beginning and he was simply acting on a loneliness he'd had his entire life. Or maybe it's something else entirely. I love how after everything, he loses without being redeemed. He doesn't repent. He never asks for forgiveness. He doesn't lose his edge, he just persists. He may have lost now, but that doesn't mean he's lost forever. Since then, he's been stuck in a chair he's tied to, but something tells me that's not going to be the end of his story. Anyway, there's no villain more worthy of being said to break anime than Sosuke Aizen. Now subscribe or die.